Hello Linux lovers, my name's Wimpy. Welcome to my world. Welcome back. Sorry it's been so long. Thank you for those of you that got here early. Hello, is that Paul? Hello Paul. You'll notice there's some changes and maybe you saw the lights were flashing because I'm at home with all the lights and that do all of those things. So welcome back one and all. Thank you very much for joining. Hello everyone. Hey, welcome.
Thank you for the follow, JotaJet48.
Hey, hello Jota. Welcome to the stream. Let the filth wizardry commence. Yes, FX boy. Maybe so. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at some OBS stuff on that there Linux, specifically Ubuntu today. Yeah, it has been a long time. What with holidays and sort of, you know, summer hiatus and all the rest of it, and a couple of other things, you know, conferences and what have you. It's been a while. Also, I suppose sort of a segue to this, what I'm about to talk about today, is OBS Studio 28 came out, which is jam-packed with great new features. And there's some API breakage, which meant a whole bunch of plugins had to be slightly tweaked in order to continue working. And I took that as an opportunity to complete, although everything around here probably looks very familiar to those of you that have been here before, everything is brand new. Maybe if you sniff, you can smell the fresh paint. So the underpinnings to this are all new, well, despite the familiar look. So I had to make some things, and I'm going to talk about the things I've made for OBS and the tools that I've found that those of you that stream are probably interested in. So, hey, Phil, thank you very much for coming back. And Phil, thank you very much for all of your diligence on the debget project. I mean, I have been keeping things ticking over with the various projects. So debget and QuickMU have seen a couple of releases, I think. Whilst I've had a little streaming hiatus, Ubuntu Mate's obviously had its beta on Thursday.
Thank you for the follow, Antuel78.
Hello, Antuel. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. And Popey, who's here. Thank you, Popey. Popey, as my perennial guinea pig, I throw him things saying, hey, look, I've made a thing. And he bravely, did you stream yesterday and today? So I'm streaming with my own custom build of OBS, and I'll explain all of that in just a bit. But Popey got in there quickly with a very early test, so I was pleased to see his stream didn't crash. And I'll talk about, so anyone that's been around this stream before in recent months will have seen it crash a couple of times, and hopefully what I've made is an antidote to some of that crashing, and I'll talk a little bit about how that's been achieved. And it's no slight on the OBS project. It's kind of a side effect of how the OBS ecosystem has grown so wide and quickly, and well, there's so many plugins available for it now. Phil's still got lots of channel points, and I get very interesting lighting effects here. This is so much more fun than being in the other place when all the lights and everything go on and off with all of this stuff. Hey, Hassan, welcome to the stream, and Gimpy Sticks as well. There's so many of you, new and old. Hello. So this is obviously part of a staple of the stream for a while. Is all of these? Yeah, you're on time. You're on time, Danny. Welcome. Hello, Big Pod. Welcome back. So some of these channel points that people are triggering are sort of a staple of the stream.
Thanks for the resub, Big Pod 98, UU 9 months.
Thanks, Big Pod. That's very kind of you. But there's some new features. So, for example, for those of you that got here super early, you'll have noticed there was a little game to play whilst the stream was getting going. So we've got the parachute drop. And I've got a little bit of custom coding behind that. So we'll automatically change the theme of that game seasonally by the date in the calendar and all the rest of it. And it also does a little here, Pope, you'll appreciate this, on the 8th and the 16th of every month it uses the retro theme. So if I ever stream on the 8th and the 16th, regardless of what the season is, we'll always get a retro theme parachute drop. Thank you, Yannick, I appreciate that. So yes, the Chelsea cucumber is always popular around here. So I think probably the best place to start is probably something new for those of you that stream, not just with Linux, but stream in general. There's a tool, everyone's finding all of the toys to play with. I need to do something more interesting with this. I saw Luke trying to use this when we were raiding. I think we could build that into some sort of raid feature. Hello, France. How you doing? Yes, you can. You can get a link to the build. I will go into all of that not too long from now. I'm going to get into all of it, but I'm going to start with something different. So I'm going to start with a chatbot. Do you like how I'm now under the sea? Do you see? The Git Kraken's come out. The Kraken is out, and I'm now in mood lighting for the ocean. So we're going to take a little look at a tool that I found, and it's been around for a while, and I'm surprised I didn't find it. But for example, some of you may have noticed, for example, Yannick just redeemed the Kraken channel point, and you'll see there that there's a message from me, from Wimpy's World, that says I love the Git Kraken, and it's got my referral code in it. So I've got my own custom chatbot now, which doesn't use Stream Elements, which is what I was using previously. So I've been able to do away with trigger fire entirely, and I've been able to do away with all of the chatbot and chat commands and chat timers from Stream Elements using an open source tool. And I think I will show you that first, because why not? Let's start with that, because I think it's quite cool, and I think a lot of you will be able to have some fun with this. So it's on GitHub, and it's called Kruiz Control. So this is wonderful stuff. So this is it, Kruiz Control, and I'll explain how this works far simply than this does. You basically download a tarball, extract it, and there's an HTML file in it, which you include as a local browser source. And then you can write pseudocode for your chatbot and create all sorts of rules and things. So for example, Yannick has just triggered the WTF is going on, and it's still there, but it's built into my tooling now. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually look at the chatbot commands. So there's a whole bunch of them. I've got some here for some of the projects. So I was talking about Phil had been keeping up with debget and what have you. So if I do bang debget in the channel, you'll see it automatically pastes a link to the project, and all of the projects have features like that. So when people ask me for links for stuff, I can easily smash that out. But there's also a whole bunch of automatic integrations as well. Yes, Yannick, I'm trying my best. You'll be streaming by the end of this one, I assure you. So let's go and take a look at Kruiz Control, because this is code without code. It's really very elegant, and you can do an awful lot with it quite simply. So can I think of another example? There was one that I think a relatively complex one. Is it quotes, or is it just quote? There we go. So bang quote will automatically go and grab a random technology / science related quote, and so that's one of the things that I've added through this. So I went down the list of things that I had in Stream Elements, and I tried to re-implement everything that Stream Elements had. So let's go and take a look. So I have a folder called Studio. Oh my gosh, I've got my keyboard mapped wrong. There we go.
Thank you for the follow, Rob.
Hello,
Lynch.
Rob. Hello there. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. So we'll take a look in Studio. Here we go, Kruiz Control. So I just downloaded the Kruiz Control zip off their GitHub, and I extracted it to, let's just make this a touch bigger. I extracted it to this directory. There's a couple of steps you have to go through set up authentications, you have to visit a couple of websites and get some, you know, authentication tokens and what have you, and paste them into a text file, which I've done. And then we have this triggers file. Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. Let's try that again. And this triggers file comes with a couple of basic things. Now, so on init I've disabled because that happens quite a lot. But example, and this B here is like who can issue this command. B is for broadcaster. So none of you can do that. You can try. And also none of you can reload the configuration, but I can. So that's the starting trigger file. As you can see, it's quite easy to generate these. You know, this is very simple. That's your command, bang example, and it will send success at work. But it'll only work for me. None of you, I can see you all trying. It's not going to work for you, but by all means go ahead, because Twitch loves a bit of chat engagement. So what we'll look at is we've got this file here called file triggers, and I've got two that are not commented out because I'm still working on this one, and they're in the triggers directory. So if we go and have a look in triggers and well, let's just get all of them, shall we? There we go. So let's look at the chat commands to start with. So here I just put this at the top just to remind me what all of the shorthand for the things were. So for example, there's one here that everyone can do, account age, and I think you have to give it a username. So I'm going to say bang account age Popey DC, and it should tell me something. There we go. So Popey's account was created 4 years and 11 months ago. It's almost your 5th anniversary, Popey. Are you going to get a cake for your Twitch 5th anniversary? And you can see here that they have a bunch of sort of there's a whole bunch of keywords that you can use, and this API get is extremely useful for calling out to other services to get data that you can then use in your chat client. So here we go. We've got, here's one everyone can do. Here we go. We'll do bang floss. This is one that I made in the other. So there we go. I'm built from 77% open source. See who can beat that. So you can see these are super easy to create. The documentation for this is excellent, and I'm only beginning to scratch the surface in what's... Oh dear, Phil, that's a poor result. I've only, you know, just started to scratch the surface, but I've been able to re-implement just about everything that Stream Elements offers in, and it took like half an hour. I think the most difficult one I created was that quotes one, because it had to like format a bunch of stuff, and it's all raw Java. There's a thing called function where you can manipulate JavaScript, and it's all a little bit hairy. But there you go. And I've tried to, in fact, let's try this one, because I didn't think this one was working when I was off. So I'm going to do a shout out again. Let's do Popey DC. See if this works. Is it going to do it? No. So this is a new feature that Twitch has been advertising, but it doesn't seem to work. It should like put some sort of channel banner inside the chat with like follow links. So I've done what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't appear to work. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll edit this one live. We'll put back my original implementation. We'll comment out these bits. I'll save them. Now I can reload my client here, so I'll just reload Kruiz Control. And now if I do a shout out to who else streams here, it's gonna have to be Popey again, isn't it? There we go. So now if I do it, you'll see my implementation of the chat thing. So there we go. Popey was last streaming in just chatting. Yeah, so you can see here, I was trying to send this slash shout out, which I was reading in Twitch's announcements is this new shout out feature. But when I was not streaming live, it just simply didn't work. It actually says it failed. And now it just didn't do anything. So Yes, Big Pod, you're YouTube all the way. This, I think, Kruiz Control, they've got a roadmap for integrating with YouTube. So I can't remember what some of these do. So what's this one? Let's do bang stream. This goes and gets a bunch of variables. Oh, and it tells you about what I'm currently doing. So there we go. There's 25 people currently watching the stream. Hello, all 25 of you. Thank you very much for stopping by. So as you can see, this is real easy to get working with. And all you have to do is, you'll see here, here's this index.html file. You just include that as a local browser source in your OBS and you're good to go. So there's a whole bunch of these in here. Oh, in fact, I think you can see the song stuff just disappeared off the top there. I got a little scrolling thing. So I've got a bunch of aliases. So these, you know, list of aliases. So if anyone, I'm not going to do it. If anyone types that, it should bring that back up on screen, because what you can see here is this is OBS WebSocket calls to trigger WebSocket actions. So if somebody does bang music or bang Spotify or bang now playing, it should display that up in the top there of the, there we go. So Phil did it and there it is. That's now displayed. So you can actually manipulate. Yes, that's not that, Yannick. You're being silly now. That's not in there. So yeah, there we go. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I've implemented. Here's all of the projects. We'll come back to some of these here. Popey, there's 8-bit verses. I've still got it in there. A bunch of tools. So here we go. Let's use this one. Let's do bang KC. So this tool is Kruiz Control, and that is where you can get it. And it's terrific. So if you want to do any kind of even if you just use it yourself as a bunch of commands to trigger certain events and actions, you can do that, but it also can respond to Twitch events as well. So it can respond to new followers, bits, raids, and you can, you know, add whatever you want it to do when people join. So I've got some of these here, like Discord, for example. If people say, what's your Discord server? I have this command, which everyone can do, and not only does it put the chat in the chat, but it also plays out that little animation at the bottom of the screen as well. So it's an amazing tool. I absolutely loved tinkering with this, and as I said, there's so much more it can do, and I'm going to have some fun doing more things with it. So there we go. And then the other thing it does is it implements the chat timers. So this is slightly more complex, but not very hard. So it creates a chat timer and stops it. And then when the stream is started, it starts the chat timer. And then here we go. Here's a list of all of the messages I want sent out at a regular interval. And every 15 minutes, it pops one of those off the list, pastes the message in the chat, and it goes round. And then at the end, it reinitializes the chat timers and goes again. So that's a replacement for those sort of timed chat bots that you can get in Stream Elements. Yeah, it's really good. I'm very happy with that. So Kruiz Control, I think that's a tool that a lot of you can have some fun with. Ooh. You like this, do you, Paul? Do you like how my lights are burning with the fire there? And for those of you that are wondering how that's all done with another automation tool, and I've got a chat command for that. That's done with Atom, and that's another tool I'm using to do a whole bunch of this stuff. Yep, Kruiz Control is pretty fantastic. Yeah, so Yannick, you've got to start streaming now. Look, people are shouting out your channel. Hello, Brennan. How you doing? Welcome back. So, Kruiz Control, there we go. Now, do you want to see something fun? So, this screen that I'm on here now is this weird composition. Those of you that have been around know that I've got this crazy thing with dummy HDMI dongles. but it's where I have my code editor, and you can see the stats at the top of the screen there. But sometimes this window, those stats and what have you, get in the way. So if I move the mouse up here over them, look, they fade out and then they fade back in again. So I've got window dodging for my little stats area. And ever so often I want to maximize like this. So I've even got window dodging over the chat here, so I can make the chat fade out without having to push any buttons on the Stream Deck. So that's a custom integration of my own that I've written. And I know what you're all thinking. You're all thinking, what kind of advanced technology did I use to create that? And it could have been, Rust or Go or, Elixir or, any number of things. But of course, it's a shell script. Yeah. Hey, Paul, a shonky shell script. How very dare you? I am a purveyor of the internet's finest shell scripts, I think you'll find. So that's a little bit of fun. I kind of like these, so this has all been redone, and just everything's just being touched. So although it looks a lot similar, very similar, all the stuff behind the scenes has changed quite considerably. And if we come back to this screen here, you'll see I've got the visualizer, audio visualizer for the voice, and you'll now see the lower third isn't on the whole screen because it was actually breaking up the chat. So the chat's very important to this channel because you all have such good advice for me when I do it wrong. So I was trying to find a way to make sure the chat was always as big as it could be on the screen. So I've moved the lower third inside the camera view just when the camera's like large. And these social banner rotations in the lower third, that was all done with a Stream Elements overlay originally, but that's all done all natively within OBS now using several plugins. One is the Move Transition plugin to do all of the easing functions to bring them in and out, and then another plugin which can do rotation between timed source rotations, and we'll take a look at some of those in just a bit. So but I'm trying to cut out stuff on the web as much as possible. So I know that some of you were following earlier and it's still got the Stream Elements alerts, but it's only due to a lack of artistic talent that I haven't replaced those with integrations in Atom, because that's what I want to get to, is have entirely my own stuff. So Danny asks a very good question. Danny asks, are all these plugins part of your distro? And I suppose it could be called like an OBS Studio distribution if you like, and the answer to that question is yes. And in fact I'm running that custom build of OBS now, so all of this that's working is working because it's all baked into the thing. So I tell you what, let's not bury the lead any longer. Let's go and take a look at what I've created. And if you're familiar with the snap of OBS Studio that I used to maintain, then this will seem quite familiar. So this project is on GitHub Wimpy's World, and the project is OBS Studio Portable. So if you're not familiar with OBS, you may not know that it has two modes of operation, and one of which is a portable mode. Now you may remember portable apps from Windows, where you can just download a thing and run it from a directory somewhere, and that's what this is. So this is portable builds of OBS Studio for Ubuntu, but this also includes over 40 of the best third-party plugins, all baked in. And the whole thing is, well, with the exception of two plugins, and I may have to fork them. The whole thing is built from source. And this is where I was talking about, like, I'd had OBS crash on me a few times. And the best determination I can come to as to the root cause of that is I was using a build of OBS, a lot of these plugins as pre-built binaries that are all built on different tool chains, different versions of Linux operating systems, different glibc requirements, and I suspect that just all of that was destabilizing things a little bit. So this is build the whole thing from source as a portable build. So what you have is this. I made a release earlier today, and it's OBS Studio 26, 27 and 28 for Ubuntu 2004, 2204 and 2210. This is the updated build from this morning, which added a few additional plugins, including this AI face tracker, which is pretty cool. And it's a whole bunch of tarballs, and you can download those and extract them and in air quotes just run this portable build. But you can put it anywhere you like. You could put it on a thumbstick, you could put it in your home directory. What I'm doing is I wrote up my motivations for creating this. I'm not going to read it all back here, but the reasons for doing it are here. You can read this. But I stream from 2 different locations using 3 different computers, and I have most of my OBS configuration in sync thing, and it automatically syncs, like all of this config, the Kruiz Control stuff that you've seen, the Atom stuff, syncs it all between all the assets, it syncs. But OBS and its configuration, it does not. So, and what I wanted to do is I've got lots of different stream configurations, and I wanted to control them discreetly. So portable builds enable me to do that. So the way that it works is you download the portable build, the SHA-256 sum to confirm that you've actually downloaded, you know, and the right thing, all the bits are there. You just extract the tarball, and then inside the tarball there is a script called OBS dependencies. And during the build process, when I build these things, at the end it walks the tree of what's been created and analyzes the linked libraries of everything in that tree, builds a list of library dependencies, resolves that to packages, and then builds a script that says if I install these things, it provides the runtime for this version of OBS. And then there's a script, OBS Portable, which actually executes the OBS binary in portable mode so that it works. So it's very simple to sort of use. No, there's not. No, I mean, there could be. We could create. So Danny's saying there's no, you know, wget pipe to sudo bash. There isn't. I was wondering if I could put some sort of, you know, wrapper in there, sort of, you know, install OBS Portable or something. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it needs it. It's not that complicated. So let's take a look at my actual install and take a look at, you know, these scripts, and then I'll sort of look at the build script itself, because I'm using containers to build all of these in an isolated, reproducible way and all the rest of it. So yeah. Hello. Does this work for ARM v8 CPUs? So that's a great question. The answer to that question is currently no, but it's entirely possible that it could. So at the moment I was trying to solve the problem of I needed an all new shiny stream setup running on my PC. So that's what I focused on. But I do want to get an ARM version going as well. So at some point in the future, yeah, I'll be looking at that. So if that's what you're interested in, stick around. It'll come up at some point in the future. Quick OBS. Yeah, everything's Yeah, we kind of own that quick prefix on things. No, I think so. I think Big Pod. I think you'd be surprised. I think it'll go. I think it'll be possible on some ARM platforms at the very least. Right, let's take a little look. Because I think the two scripts will kind of, explain what's going on here. So I'll actually go to my where the artifacts got created. So this is where all of the tarballs that I built on my machine are residing. In fact, let's do this. Let's use a full-blooded terminal. There we go. Where are we going? OBS Portable. And the artifacts. So we'll take a look. We'll just extract. Let's do 28 for what I'm on. So let's do this. So this is essentially the same version that I'm currently running. So the first thing, of course, it has Ceph included. That's Chromium Embedded Framework. So things like the browser source work, and if you're using X11, things like browser docs work as well, and also the new splash screens in OBS. OBS dependencies wants to remove Jack 1. Yes, Yannick, you need to move on. Let it go. Jack 2 or Pipewire. Oh, that's the other thing I've changed about my setup, is all of the audio on this setup and this OBS is all managed using Pipewire and a specific audio plugin for Pipewire, and it's awesome. I have been able, Yannick, you'll love this. So yesterday when Popey was streaming, we helped Popey adjust the sync offset in the audio because there was a lip sync problem. I've been able to remove all latency from this OBS setup, which I couldn't do previously on Pulse. So, because Pipewire is using Jack underneath for the pro audio pieces. So, hence Jack 2, Yannick. Right, so we've extracted it. Let's just take a look in the root directory, and you'll see here, first of all, let's look. They've got this manifest file. So each of these tarballs will have a manifest, and it basically tells you what version of OBS, for what version of Ubuntu, and then I keep like my own internal revision number, because that will increment as maybe I add or change plugins. It's not going to change just because of OBS releases, although there was one last night. And then it lists here everything that got installed into the build environment in order to compile this thing. So you can see everything that was used to build it. And then for OBS Studio itself, we've got OBS, Ceph, and then AGA, which is a camera add-on. And then these are all of the plugins that were built in Tree. So when OBS is compiled, you can put plugins inside the OBS source tree itself and build those plugins as part of the build of OBS itself. So all of these plugins know how to be built with OBS itself. And then these plugins are all out of Tree. So these are all built after you've actually compiled OBS. So we'll take a little look at this, but these build scripts actually build and, in air quotes, install OBS twice in order to create all of this. So I see there's some questions. So let's just have a look here. Oh, so yeah, so Big Pod's talking about ARM Macs. I'm thinking Raspberry Pi. I think that'll be fun. Yeah, still, Danny, I need to tighten the potentiometers in the vertical sync of the of the CRT. Do you like that? I like that little effect. I think it's quite neat. FX boy. Okay, so you're debating all the different ARM options. Do I have some doc about how to migrate to Pipewire? Yes, I do. Shall we look at that very, very quickly? Let's go and do that. We're going to take a little side stroll down Ubuntu Mate Avenue. Okay, so let's, because that's where this information resides. This is why people need to read the Ubuntu Mate release notes, because I put all sorts of useful information in here for you. So Ubuntu Mate 22.10 beta was out on Thursday, so just at the end of last week. And here's the release notes for the beta. And here are this release's AI generated wallpapers from Simon Butcher. So these are all AI generated art that are the wallpapers that we've included in Ubuntu Mate. So these are 1080p. You're free to download those, but in Ubuntu Mate 22.10 you'll find UHD versions. And here's Simon's little write-up of the challenges of getting anatomically correct kudos out of an AI engine. So here we go. Here's the bit on Pipewire Yannick. And here is what you need to do. These steps will work on
Thank you for the follow,
Ubuntu.
Ton_Ton.
Hello. Is it Tony? Maybe, I don't know. But welcome. Thank you for the follow. So if you can run those steps on 2004, which is what 2204, which is what I'm running here because I haven't upgraded yet on this machine. And you can run it, and I think Ubuntu and Ubuntu Mate have both migrated to Pipewire in 22.10, but this works. This is what I'm using here. I've been using Pipewire on this machine and I think the one in the other office for a couple of months or so. So it works. There's also a great plugin for OBS. So there we go. That's where you can find the steps. If you do that and restart your machine, you'll be pipe-wired. And for those of you that don't know, the way that Pipewire works is it actually has a pulse audio compatible socket it exposes. So from a software point of view, anything that talks pulse audio or jack will just integrate with Pipewire. Now, I could have just continued to use pulse audio in OBS, but there is an open source superhero working on a fully native Pipewire audio plugin, and whilst that's being worked on in upstream OBS, they're releasing that plugin as a standalone plugin, which is what's built into my OBS, and it can do application audio capture. So you can say specifically create an audio source for, you hear some music in the background, for Spotify, and then you can control Spotify's audio completely discreetly for, so it's pretty cool. So anyway, there you go. If you want to experiment with Pipewire, that's how you can get it installed. So where were we? Let's stroll back to looking at some shonky shell scripts. So yeah, let's go in here. So we looked at the manifest, and you'll see here the first script is OBS dependencies. So if we just take a look at that. So this has got some guardrails around it to make sure, because each of these builds is specific to that Ubuntu version it was built for. So it's just got some guardrails to make sure that if you download the one for 22.10, you can't run it on 2004 or 2204, for example. So both scripts have some sort of safeguards at the top, and then it just does an update, and then it says apt-get install and a big long list of packages. And so there's no, you'll see here, there's no -y. So what you'll see is, this is what I want to install, do you agree or not? And if you disagree, you won't be able to run it, but at least you get the the choice. So yeah, Pipewire I've been very happy with. It solved all the latency issues I've had with OBS, and I've been able to continue using all of the tools I use for streaming and podcasting. And for those of you that followed along with some of the streams on Retro Home, I migrated Retro Home to Pipewire, and that fixed a whole bunch of problems with like incorrectly detecting an HDMI audio source and electing it as the default, even though it wasn't an audio source that was ever producing sound, which is something that Pipewire has done for years. Something that Pulse Audio has done for years, that sort of misidentifying the correct HDMI audio source. And Pipewire, so far, desperately looking around for some wood, and there is none, gets right all the time. So I'm very happy with it. Yeah, give it a try, Yannick. Let me know how you get on. You have no computers certified for Windows 11. No, I don't think I'm on. I have any either. I just use VMs. So that's this script. And then the launcher itself is very simple. I think it needs maybe simplifying. Again, it's got the same guardrails at the top. We have a little bit of bash foo here, which works out which directory the script is actually in, and then uses that as the way to derive all of the different directories that it needs to put in the LD library path. And then it just launches the OBS Portable in portable mode, even though it was built with the flags to tell it was a portable build. You still need to tell the binary when it's launched, please run as a portable binary. Hello. Hello, RW Grim. So here we go. I'm gonna use this feature, right? Oops, I'm in the wrong screen. Let me just come down here. So RW Grim is one of my co-hosts on Linux Downtime, and they stream on Twitch. They have a ton of followers. So you want to go over there and give them a follow, because Gary is the lead developer of Pigeon, and is currently battling technical debt of the Pigeon migration to Pigeon 3 from Pigeon 2, and is doing that live with warts and all. So head on over to Gary's channel and give him a follow. So yeah, if you've listened to Linux Downtime and you've heard Gary, then this is RW Grim in chat. So thanks for stopping by, Gary. Welcome to the stream. Are you going to be streaming later yourself? So those are the two scripts, and then in terms of what's in here, and as Gary streams as well, Gary, this is a build. It builds for Ubuntu at the moment, but one of the things I've got on my list is maybe, because it all builds inside containers, is extending it to make Debian builds as well, because then you get all the good stuff on Debian. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. And then, you know, there's Ceph here. All of the OBS plugins are in here. This is just a very simple tree of OBS related stuff. So the beauty of this is that I can go into my file manager, go to development, and this project, I'm not used to finding it yet. Here we go, artifacts. Here we go. So there's that build. I can copy this. I can drop that into Studio. Let's just drop it in here. Paste it here. Rename it OBS demo. Whoops. Let's get rid of that. So here it is. There's nothing in here, so I don't need to install the dependencies because I've obviously already installed them because I'm running it right here. So I'm just gonna run this, and it says, oh look, I've detected there's an OBS running. Well, that's fine because it's a different OBS, because although, you know, these portable builds, they are discrete. They are not in a confinement or a containerized way, but they are isolated from one another. So I'm just going to say launch. And here we go. I'm just going to cancel all of the... Oh, it's launched on a different screen. One moment. I'm just going to have to drag a part of it launched on the other screen. So here we go. Here's my other version of OBS. So like that. And what you'll notice is in the directory, OBS demo, it created this config directory. So here is all of the configuration for whatever I do inside this OBS. So I can just drag my existing configuration in here and start it back up, and it will be working with, you know, that configuration. So upgrades are easy. You just extract a new version, drop your configuration in and start it up. So one of the things I'm doing is I've got now this concept of my stable OBS, which I will use because this current streaming hiatus I've been on is because I've been doing all of these changes to my stream. And whilst I was making all of those changes, I wasn't able to stream because my streaming setup was in bits on the floor. So by moving everything to portable systems, I can always have a stable working system, and I can be tinkering on like the next iteration of my configuration, and when it's ready I can just start using it and make it the new stable. So this is great for, you know, building and developing out on all of this. So Wimpy says I need to do CI/CD auto build. So this is a good point. Let's just put up Danny's question here. So you need CI/CD to auto build and release when you create a tag. Yes, that would be nice. However, let's just take a look at what that would mean. So I'm just going to close this. You get the idea. You know, I can go in here. This OBS is entirely independent of everything, and I can close this. Am I in the right spot? Why can't I close that? Is there a little window open somewhere that's keeping it in the foreground? Doesn't seem to be. It doesn't look, it does look like there's something. Okay. Oh, here it is. It's down here. It's on the other screen. There's another dialogue. I'll just drag it down. And I thought there would be. Here we go. That's why it's not giving me the option to close it. There we go. And this is the, you know, the OBS banner I was explaining. It uses the web thing. So if we close that. So now that we've got this config directory, I could just copy that and paste it into any other instance of OBS Portable and start it up, and it will just work and carry that config over. So what I was doing in my studio setup here is, here's where I keep my OBSs. Here's my stable version, here's my config, and if I wanted to, I could just pick it up and drop it over this one, and then this one I can just start tinkering on, and it's a duplicate. So it's very, very convenient for tinkering with stuff. So let's go and take a look at Danny's question, because you need to see how this is built to understand why CI/CD in the hosted sense may not be an option. I don't think I can afford the credits. is the long and short of it. So Yannick's thing here is very similar to how this actually works when it does a build actually. So let me show you how it actually builds. So let's go in here. Oop. And let's come back here. So there's a couple of this. Let's open up the simple high-level things. So there's a thing called Build Auto. This is the entry point to the build system, and it basically has what version of Ubuntu do you want to build it on, what version of OBS do you want to build on, and you can see here there's this option to do all and all, and it will build across 3 versions of Ubuntu and 3 different versions of OBS. However, when we get into the scripts itself, so this one basically destroys the existing matching container I'll show you those scripts in a second. This script bootstraps the container. This script steps inside the container and injects the build scripts and the build configuration and then executes them. And then this gathers the artifacts at the end. So it's automated. And if we take a look, you don't need to see the, well, the Bootstrap, I suppose, is fairly interesting. It will be familiar to some of you that have seen how some of the other projects are built. Bootstrap. So Yannick, you were naming quick prefixed projects earlier. This has got the makings of machine spawn or quick machine or something like that. So this script basically deb bootstraps an environment. So we put some basic tooling on, so the key rings, deb bootstrap the systemd container. We look to see if apt cacher is running on the host, and if it is, we use that proxy so that it speeds up the package installations and what have you. And then we bootstrap the container here, turn on all the features, exclude some stuff we don't need, and then we inject systemd container inside this container. So it's super simple, and that's it. And then here's where it copies the build scripts and the build configurations into that container that it's just made. And then this just basically runs it. I mean, there's nothing to see here. It's just step into the container and run it. But the actual build script itself is quite large, because it knows the logic to how to build multiple versions of OBS against multiple versions of Ubuntu. So this is that script, and there's a couple of functions I'll just point out. So this is putting the build dependencies on, and we have this function here, plugins in tree. So this checks out all of the plugins and overlays those on top of the OBS source tree in order to build those plugins in source. And this builds OBS itself. And then we have another function just beneath this, which is the out of tree. Here it is. This is the out of tree plugins. But if we look down here, this is the order in which things get done. So basically provision the build environment, get the OBS source code, get Chromium embedded frameworks, get and build the AGA camera stuff. And then you'll see here it says build OBS, and then it's got this system on the end. So this builds just OBS without any plugins, and in air quotes installs OBS into the root file system of the container. And that's required so that these out of tree plugins can find the headers, library, CMake files and all the rest of it in order to build in standalone mode. Although there are various knobs and buttons to manipulate, tell CMake where to go and get its CMake prefix and include files and libraries, some of these plugins are just blind to some of this coercion. So if you look at the CI/CD for a number of the plugin authors, what they actually do is they install OBS inside their containers in their GitHub workflows and what have you, in order to provision the necessary headers and libraries. So I'm mimicking that pattern. We build the smallest OBS we can, so just OBS, into the system. We then install or overlay all of those in-tree Git repositories for probably more than half of the plugins, and then we build OBS again with all of those plugins overlaid in a portable way. So it uses a different set of flags and it builds into this, isolated tree. And then we build the out of tree plugins that use the system version of OBS to satisfy headers and libraries, but it builds into the portable directory structure. And then we have 2 plugins which don't build for modern version of OBS, but the binaries still work. So there's only 2 of them. I currently drag those out of their zip files and inject them into the appropriate place, but what I'm thinking of doing is forking those and getting them updated so I can build them from source, because they're basically finished projects. And then we've got this finalize step, which is well, a bit of cleanup for Ceph, because I want to put Ceph in its own directory rather than have its, in fact you can see why. By default Ceph is overlaid inside the plugins directory for OBS, and all of those shared objects get enumerated by OBS when it starts, and it goes, oh, this is an OBS plugin, I'll ignore it, and it just delays the startup time. So I put them in their own directory and set up the LD library path accordingly. This is just accounting for AOM with the StreamFX plugin. Then we delete empty directories just to clean up our target, and then we walk down all of the library paths and strip the symbols and set permissions, and we then create our scripts. I'll talk about this game capture script in just a little bit. And then we generate the dependencies file, or at least the start of it, and then we start doing this. So we now walk all of the binaries that we've built, and we extract the linked libraries from all of that, then resolve those linked libraries to packages, and then we output those packages into the dependencies file, which is that installer. So those little OBS dependency scripts are bespoke to that version of OBS on that version of Ubuntu. And you can mix and match, because even though OBS 28 technically requires Qt 6, you can install on 2204 OBS 27 with Qt 5 and OBS 28. I say install, you can use these portable builds and have both working, and they'll sit alongside each other just fine. So consequently, Danny, let's see, let's go and take a look. So 7, so that's 14 builds of OBS it needs to do to build them all, and I've got it to a point where it all runs successfully in an automated fashion, but every time I introduce a plugin, for example, let's take a look at the plugin configurations. Let's just look at yeah, the out of tree plugins will probably be sufficient. So I've put the plugin configuration in separate config files. So this is the plugin configuration for OBS 26. So there's 12 plugins. For OBS 27 there are 16 plugins, and for OBS 28 there are 18. So it can't be just automated. You can't just say add this plugin, because the way that the API has changed inside of OBS over the years, new plugins released today may not be compatible with like 26 and 27. And if we look at, I think OBS Soundboard may be a good example. We're using 1.1.1 in 28, 1.03 in 27, and it's not even compatible with 26. So this list of plugins and the versions, and you'll see in some cases I have to cherry pick from build this plugin from this commit reference in the tree, because they're not compatible, you know, across it. As it happens, that one is, but there, you know, there are examples where you have to use specific commits for specific versions. So curating this list of plugins is not automated. If all this thing did was build a naked OBS with no plugins, then yes, CI/CD would be just fine, I think. So, quick drop is neat. What's quick drop for? Big pod. Come on. You know me. I love a quick something project. Quick corp. Quick. Oh, have I misread it? Quick corp. What's that? Come on, big pod. I need an explanation. What is it? Is this a project I wanna make? So there's a couple of configs for the plugins for those that are in Tree, those that are out of Tree, and that's it. So I'm quite happy with this. In fact, I'm very happy with this. It really means that I can have a version of OBS that I tinker on, and I can tinker on over some considerable time before I roll all of those changes up into a version that I use. So hopefully it will be an end to these little streaming hiatuses that I have, where I have to keep sort of having a pause for a few weeks whilst everything gets refactored and cleaned up. A shell organisation for all the quick projects. Okay, Danny, thank you. Yes, yeah, maybe. We've only got quick get and quick emu though, right? We don't have any others, I don't think. I mean, debget's not a quick. It's not a quick anything. So yeah, an umbrella project for all of the quick things. Quick OBS. So Popey. Yeah, I think Yannick mentioned it as well. I think maybe a quick OBS to drop in in the project, so you can just say quick OBS and it will enumerate what Ubuntu you're running, and then I'll offer you which version of do you want to install, and just do it. Yeah, don't use OBS name. Well, I think it's fine in this case. Is it not? It is OBS after all. It's just a source build of OBS. It's not like I'm creating a platform using their name and monetizing it without their permission or anything. Yeah, it's just a different way of distributing it. I'm going to let them know, actually. I'm going to hop in their Discord probably tomorrow or Tuesday and just let them know in the Linux support channel that that I've made this thing for anyone that's interested. Quick OBS GUI. Yes, Yannick, you can. So that's quick OBS. Quick OBS. That's OBS Portable. So I'm very happy with this. I'm happy that it hasn't crashed. And again, that's one of the things that this sets out to try and address, because that mix of all of those plugins. So providing this continues to go well, so this is what we currently have. So we've got OBS Studio 26 for these two releases with 29 plugins, OBS Studio 27 on those releases with 40 plugins, and then on OBS Studio 28 it's available for these three releases. I could potentially add Bionic in here as well, and maybe build like 26 and 27 for Bionic, but I don't actually have any requirement for that. But all of the scripts are in this project, so you know, here's all of the build scripts, and the builder configurations are here, so everything that's required. And I said I'd get back to this game capture thing. So in some versions VK capture is bundled, and I think I've noted where that is. Yeah, so that's in 27 and 28 on 2204 and newer. There's a lot of 20s in the version numbers. It's a bit of a head jam. So this is a way to do Vulkan and OpenGL capture of games without having to go through XSHM or Xcomposite. which actually don't perform particularly well in OBS at the moment. So it's a bit like this thing here, NVFBC for NVIDIA, but this works with AMD and Intel drivers, so it's like a faster way to do game capture, but it requires that you run a little tool called game capture ahead of when you launch your game. So it's something you can put in your Steam command or whatever game prefix on whatever game you're running, and that basically puts the appropriate environment variables in to capture the game. So that's what that script is for. It's very experimental. I'm not even sure if it works properly at the moment. An NVFBC, which I used to use when I had an NVIDIA card in this machine, was great. It's a bit like Shadow Play. Well, it's effectively Shadow Play for Linux, but it does require you jump through some hoops. But that used GLX, which has been removed in OBS Studio 28. So that's only available for OBS Studio 26 and 27, and this is one of the reasons why I've built these older versions, because my old version of my stream configuration I've got parked inside an OBS Studio 27 build, and it means all of that stuff, all of the stuff that Yannick and I and Big Pod made with that 16-way dynamic switching racing madness that we have, I have archived inside a functional version of OBS Studio 27 with all of that tweaking and tuning that we needed for that stuff to work. So that's kind of preserved, even though it doesn't exist in this OBS configuration that I'm using now. Hello, Mr. Hazen, how are you doing? Lovely to see you. Is it recent congratulations? If not, I noticed a change to your avatar a few weeks ago. That's what I noticed. If it's recent news, congratulations. Oh, and Big Pod's asking, do I still use my T400? The answer to that question is yes, it's a T600 that I have. Let's just drag this down. So, I have a couple of... In fact, why am I doing this? So this is the thing. You go on a streaming break and you forget how to do stuff. So let's just... So we'll answer a couple of... the T400 and the T600 are NVIDIA GPUs. Small ones. They're single slot bus powered GPUs. And I have one in here. So my main GPU is an RX 6900 XT. So that renders the display. And if I was playing a game, that plays the game. But then I have an NVIDIA GPU here. And I'm using this, as you can see, compute, and OBS is doing all of the encoding on this super lightweight NVIDIA GPU. And this is great. It's a 40 watt GPU, entirely bus powered, and it has the same NVENC ASIC in it that you find in like the 30 series and 20 series, 3000 series and 2000 series NVIDIA GPUs. And whilst it doesn't have a lot of CUDA resources, it has enough that... So the NVENC ASIC does a lot of the heavy lifting for the video encoding, but not all of it when you turn on some of the psycho-visual stuff and some of the... what's the other thing? When you do like P frames and stuff like that, it offloads some of that to the GPU. And when I was doing the multiplayer gaming on the 3090 and the encoding on the 3090, we were able to actually pretty much kill the 3090 by saturating its performance. So by doing this, you can actually move all of the encoding onto this tiny GPU. I think I've got one here actually. Oops, as he knocks something over. Here we go. I do have one here. Oh my gosh. Sorry, just knocked something over. Never mind. So this is actually a slightly bigger model. This is the T1000. So we'll just open this up, show you how teeny tiny they are. So there we go. Let's have a look. So here's the card in here, and this one is, I think this one's 50 watts, but I don't think it requires, I've never actually got it out of the wrapper yet. There we go, we've just done that. There we go, unboxing live, unpackaging, packing. So this is it. This is how big they are. So you can see they're very small single slot card. The GPU performance is probably that of about a 3050, so it's not going to set the world alight, you know, but it's, you know, reasonable. But it has a fantastic NVENC encoder on it, and enough GPU that you can turn on every hardcore feature of the encoding that offloads onto the GPU, and it can do the whole thing. So this has a couple of benefits. It enables me to do things like run DaVinci Resolve on my AMD Radeon graphics, because the screen gets rendered by the AMD, but all of the encoding gets spread across this and the CPU. So, you know, with this I have my cake and eat it too. It's great. So they come as a T400. And if you just need an encoding thing, the T400 is absolutely all you need. Then the T600 is the one that I have, and then this is the T1000. And the T600 I picked up for 150 quid. So, and it's basically just a video encoder is how I'm using it. So these are terrific. I think these are the most interesting things NVIDIA makes personally, but there you go. So there we go, a little bit of an insight there. So little bit show and tell based on Big Pod's question. So yes, I do still use my my T600, and here it is chunking away. So it's using 7% of the GPU to do the encoding at the moment. How much RAM has this one got? I think it's got 4 gig. Does it say here? Can't see. Oh, here we go. You can see the 41 watts. There we go. And yeah, it's 4 gigs of RAM, and it's only using 500 meg. And I think the T400 only has 2 gig of video RAM, but it has the same NVENC, of course, because that's the same on everything. And it has fewer CUDA cores, but it's still more than enough to do all of the encoding features. And the other thing I do is I binary patch the NVIDIA drivers. So let's go and take a look at that as we're here, which actually remove the consumer restrictions on how many NVENC streams you can run. So is that it? I think that'll find us. Yeah, here we go. So I'll put this in the chat. This here does a couple of things. It will lift the NVENC restrictions, so you can have, I forget how many, but it to all intents and purposes it's unlimited number of NVENC streams. And it also enables NVFBC, which is that equivalent of shadow play, which is otherwise reserved for the is it the Titan cards, or the no, the Quadros. So there you go. But you can binary patch the drivers and unlock all of that stuff. So that's what I do on this. So although this thing is only supposed to do 2 NVENC streams, I've had it running DaVinci Resolve, running OBS, doing local recording, and doing a render in Shotcut at the same time. And I think that was using 6 streams at the same time. And this little thing was able to handle it just fine. It's great. Put that there. There we go. Yeah. So if you've got if you've got an NVIDIA card, it's definitely worth capable. And so there's a couple of questions here. Is this low profile capable? Yes, absolutely, it definitely is, without a doubt. So bus powered, there's no additional power requirements, and it's truly a single slot, as you can see. Look, it's a single slot card, and it comes with these cables. These are DVI, and it comes with these DVI adapter cables. Is it mini DVI? I think. But I'm obviously not. I've not got any heads attached to mine. In fact, the way that I've installed the NVIDIA drivers, I don't have any of the X drivers at all. I just have the CUDA drivers installed, so I can't even put an image out on mine. It's just compute is all I'm using it for. So let's have a look. Oh, what's this? I don't understand what that link is. Is it? Yeah, it. I don't know what it is. I think it. Whatever the adapter cable. Let's find out. Let's learn together. Whatever these adapters are, I think it turns it into DisplayPort, but I don't know what they actually are on the card itself. As I say, I have not connected anything to them. So they look like this. Oh, wow. Okay. Low profile. There we go. There's the low profile bracket, because you were asking about, can it be low profiled? The answer is yes. It comes with the bracket. And whatever that is what you plug into the card, and you get a full size, not DVI, DisplayPort. Was I saying DVI all of this time? DisplayPort out the back. So there we go. So yes, PNY is the manufacturer, but they're as you can see, they're NVIDIA branded, but the manufacturer for NVIDIA, because NVIDIA don't manufacture cards themselves, is PNY. So I think it might say that on the box, or does it just say NVIDIA? But it is, yeah. So on the back of the box you can see PNY, but all of the branding is NVIDIA. So yeah, you found the right thing. I think PNY were the only OEM making them for NVIDIA. But if I was doing this again for my purposes, which is just for an encoding card, I would get the T400 because it's cheaper again. And in fact, I have another thing. I have another bit of hardware down here. So this is still in its packaging as well. Here it is. So I've had to take. In fact, I've got all of the bits laying around. Let's drag the other thing over here. So in order to put this second GPU in the PC, I had to remove this. Which, does anyone know what this is from looking at it? Well, let's have your guesses in chat. See who gets there first. This is it. It's a single slot, bus powered, blower style fan. Looks like Big Pod's there. Yeah. So big. Hello, Dust. Mining card. Get on your bike. So Big Pod's right. This has 4 2 terabyte NVMe drives in it, and I've got those in a striped array, so it's an 8 terabyte add-in board for storage. But I had to pull this out in order to put that other GPU in, which made me sad, and I really want to put this back in because this is what was hosting my home directory. So I want to put that back in. But then, of course, I want to keep that T600 or this T1000 even. I want to keep this available and I've got a quad HDMI capture card that I want to keep. So that's where this little box of tricks comes in. Which again, I haven't actually opened yet. I've had a bit of a tidy up in here. I'm making a big fat mess now. My daughter's going to be so irritated when she sees all of the good work that I've done. It's been ruined by me ripping things out of the bag. So here we go. We've got this here, the Echo Express SE3E, and this is a triple slot Thunderbolt enclosure. So my idea is I have I think the correct technical description is USB 4 enhanced in my workstation, which is basically unlicensed Thunderbolt because it's an AMD Threadripper system, so it comes with is it Titan Ridge? I think that's the board. So my idea is I will put this, because it's bus powered, in here, and I will put my quad capture HDMI card in here, also bus powered, and also only is 4 lanes, and then with the with that GPU in here and the HDMI, I can connect this with a single Thunderbolt cable, and this will basically be all things to do with sort of video capture and rendering, and there should be more than enough capacity over the 4 Thunderbolt lanes to handle the shunting around of video data and encode data for those cards, and it should be able to power them just fine as well. So this is the plan, to try and basically, because these graphics cards, you know, the principal graphics card, they're so big now, I basically lose a valuable slot off, you know, off one of those cards. And if they weren't so blooming massive, I wouldn't have to do this. But this is the world in which we live in, and it looks like it's getting worse. It'll be interesting to see what AMD do with their 4000 series GPUs, but Nvidia have been quite brazen. They're like over 3.5 slots, some 4 slot cards in the new lineup that I've seen so far, which is getting a bit ridiculous. So there we go. So that's a little project for probably next weekend to get these encoding bits in there and get it hooked up over Thunderbolt. So I think that's probably the best use for Thunderbolt. I did have my GPUs in Thunderbolt at one point in the past. There we go, collection of hardware there now. So I've probably missed a load of questions. If I've missed a question, please re-ask it. Andy Hazen's asking, yes, this is very important, but can I find Andy Hazen in the list here? I can't see you, but yes, Andy, always XFS. And it saved my bacon the other day. Oh my gosh, I had a catastrophic disk fail. So I was showing all of those scripts to build OBS, and what would you figure out it was? 14 times it needs to build OBS. And I've got a Threadripper workstation here, so I can actually like compile multiples of them at the same time. So I thought, hey, what could possibly go wrong? Let's do that. Now, the processor was absolutely fine with this task of compiling a load of instances of OBS, no bother whatsoever. But what I didn't consider is I replaced this that we were just looking at, which is 4 NVMe drives with active cooling, and this is like, it's really heavy. There's a massive copper, you know, heat plate on the back of this. I replaced this with a single NVMe, and it turns out that got hotter than the surface of the sun. And I didn't know, And what happens when they get hot like that is they have a thermal shutdown limit, and it was as if the NVMe drive had just been yanked from the system. Watching what Linux does when a drive just vanishes off the system is, well, it's a thing to behold. It's exciting doesn't even begin to cover it. So it just like the system just imploded on itself. I've seen your messages, Dust. I will be very interested to hear this news. Please DM, or you can share here if you want to. Either is fine with me. And of course, this was in a state where loads of stuff was writing to it all the same time, because I think I'd got like 6 or 7 compiles running. And that it took a long time for it to cool down until that, and I thought I'd lost it completely, that drive, and I also thought I'd lost the work that I hadn't backed up, because I hadn't done a backup in like 3 or 4 hours, and I was like, I've lost the work, I've lost the drive, blah blah blah. And anyway, once it had cooled down enough, it did recover, but XFS for the win, because it did a decent job of doing the file system recovery, and I didn't lose anything. Love XFS, so good. So yes, what is secret holders? What's this? Oh, right, I understand, Danny. Yeah, thermal. Yeah, got to the thermal limit of an NVMe drive. Which I suspect is about 90 degrees, based on, I had a tentative, it was a working theory, so I had to sort of try and reproduce it to satisfy my own curiosity that that's what had happened, and it looks like it's what did happen. And that's because, of course, these NVMe drives are mounted underneath the blooming GPUs in these systems, so they're already competing with all of that. Okay, Dust, thank you. Should I go and look at that now? Is that something I should read now? Okay, let's just have a quick squiz. Am I allowed to say what it is, or I've got to keep... Oh, wow. That is very exciting. So, I don't know if you saw the front of this stream, Dust. I'm not going to say what you've just sent me. Maybe I'm going to give it away slightly, but I'll try and be subtle. The top of this stream is a custom build of OBS Studio for Linux. Everyone's playing with the animations. So I've got a project here. Oh gosh, I'm on the wrong screen. Here we go. Here it is. OBS Studio Portable. It's OBS Studio Portable builds for Ubuntu that include over 40 of the best third-party plugins. And if we go and look at the plugin configuration for, let's look at the in-tree configuration. Let's just look. Yeah, let's see if there's anything you notice about that list, Dust. There we go. That's all I need to say. So I'm running this custom build of OBS here, but it's basically a built from source version of OBS with everything built in. Why did my lights go out? That's odd. Let's push this button. There we go. And they're back on. So yeah, good for you. That's fantastic news. I'll be messaging you back later, or first thing tomorrow morning. Yeah. Nice. That's fantastic. I'm really pleased to hear that. I will see. Sorry for being vague to everyone else. I'm sure. So if you want to know, I'll just say this. One of the tools I use, I mentioned it. Oops. One of the tools I used, if I type in the right place, maybe, for all of this automation here is Atom. So there it is. And Dust, who's in the chat here, is the creator of Atom. And I've been using Atom since it first came out, and I've been a beta tester. for the Linux versions for about a year now, I suppose. And it's fantastic stuff. And he was just sharing a little behind the scenes news with me about what they're planning to do. But if you're looking for automation software, then it's another great bit of tooling. Yeah. I think it was about October last year, I think, when it all sort of landed publicly. Congratulations. Well deserved, I think. So, I tell you what though, check this out, Dust. So you can see these stats at the top of the screen here. This is my mouse cursor. I'm on the right screen here. Watch this. See how they fade out? They do. My things do window dodging. And if over here, if I had something underneath where the chat and that is now, I can window dodge the chat by moving my mouse cursor over it. That's all my own work, by the way. That's totally closed source. I'm not releasing that. You can all fight me. Or you can pay me. And I'll tell you my secrets. YouTube is the #1 streaming platform. By volume. By volume of people streaming, I'm sure it is. But I just love all of the toys that Twitch have for integrations and what have you. Love all of that. And it enables people like Duster to create a whole company. You know, to satisfy that need. So I think that's fascinating, Dust, what you've told me. That's congratulations. I'll be in touch. So gosh, that was a little look at that build of OBS and some of the tools I'm using to make all of this happen and this reworking of these things. So I encourage you to, for those of you that are running Ubuntu, I encourage you to give it a try. In fact, I'll tell you what. Oh no, I can't be bothered to do it now, but you know, here it is. Oh, I'm on the wrong virtual screen again. And that's probably something I need to figure out how to ensure that I know which screen my cursor is on. So, Popey was the winner because he was the first person to take this for a test drive and actually do a live stream using it before I did. But for those of you that stream and use Ubuntu, please give it a try. Let us know how it goes. Take a look at some of the plugins that are available because there are a ton of things in there now. There's this amazing AI face tracker thing in there. So if you've got if you're doing classroom stuff, it'll actually follow you around the classroom. It's pretty great. So give it a go, and I think for the OBS 26 and 27 versions, those are kind of frozen now because they work. They've got the plugins that are compatible with them because as the API inside OBS changes over time, some new plugins are not compatible. So they'll never see an update from the OBS side of things. I will only update them if there's sort of some obvious massive bug with a plugin or something. But really the action is going to be on these OBS 28 versions because there's still a list of plugins down here. So this is all the plugins that are included. So this is everything to do with the audio side of things, various automation tools. It includes both WebSocket plugins, so obviously 28 comes with WebSocket 5 baked in, but this also has the 491 compatibility versions, various effects plugins, things for encoding and output. In fact, Dust, I don't know if you know about this one. I want to check this one out. So Dust also works with Mr. Greggles, the Twitch drummer, who's the reasons for which Atom came into being. But this is pretty cool, this MIDI plugin. You might want to take a look at that. I think that could probably be something that you'd find useful. But when we get to this big long list of stuff, there are these ones here. These are very specific to cameras. this one is I've used before. It's kind of uninteresting now. But then this one looks particularly interesting, and this is like pushes any source out to any output filter, which looks interesting. And this is different main view, so there's still a ton, and this is only a few of the most interesting ones. Yeah, I know you've done a load of work on your MIDI integration, because that's kind of key to what you're doing. So what was this Dust was asking? And you'll be happy to know that we're working on YouTube integration. Oh, really? Yeah, as much as I love streaming on Twitch for all of the fun stuff you can do on Twitch, I see other people in the Linux community streaming on YouTube. And when I used to stream on YouTube, get way more people watching and joining in. But I'm only going to go to YouTube if I can do at least half the stuff on YouTube that I can do on Twitch, because I like the fun of all of this, you know, silly stuff that we do. But yeah, I'm back. I'm back. I had a little summer hiatus, and although this stream looks very familiar, I basically started from scratch and recreated everything, and that's kind of why I've made these portable builds, so that in the future I will always have this stable, usable, I can stream now version of OBS, and I can be working on like the next iteration of my refactoring and integrations without disrupting having a stream that I can actually use. So that was part of this sort of transition to OBS 28, was to make sure I'll always be able to stream whenever I want to in the future, rather than, you know, all of the plugin breakage and API changes and stuff. Yeah, so I am back, and normally I stream on Monday morning. Now tomorrow Monday morning is a weird one from a family point of view. What's going on? There's stuff happening. I may be streaming tomorrow morning. I might not. I'm not sure. But aside from tomorrow, I'm going to be streaming at least 3 days a week. I will be streaming in the mornings, and I'm going to try and do one evening stream a week as well, because I have friends and what have you in that America time zone, and it's always good to catch up with them. So yeah, so I've seen there's been a number of changes with Twitch, particularly monetization, which obviously for someone like myself, the 27 pence that I make is neither here nor there. So the changes that they're instituting simply don't affect me. But I imagine if a big part of your livelihood is based on Twitch streaming and subs and all the rest of it, then yeah, the recent changes are probably a bit difficult to live with. So I'll be interested to see how all that works out. So is YouTube prioritized or higher prioritized as a result of recent changes at Twitch now, Dust? Yeah, we're all a weird lot over here because we're up early, and then we're also up late as well, up late at night as well. So right, okay. Oh, I see. Interesting. So it's the like API changes, I guess. Yeah. No, notice API changes are not okay. Yeah. And I saw that AWS blipped out in the week, and that took down Twitch authentication and the ability for people to stream. And it was at a time I was just testing these new builds, and I was trying to log in. I was getting failures, and I was like, what have I got wrong in my build of this version of OBS that means I can't authenticate? And I'm digging into all of this nonsense only to find out AWS is having a hissy fit. Oh, interesting. So Dust, I'll be in touch about chatbot stuff. Interesting. Yeah. God, okay, interesting. Okay, interesting stuff. So, I find all this fascinating. I love all of this, you know, background stuff on the streaming industry. It's super interesting. Always soft launch and hit API limits. Yeah, tricky. Yeah, well, so, okay, I've seen that chat message. Thank you for who, I guess it's Yannick. Thank you, Yannick, or Big Pod, whoever was queuing up stuff. So, 7, is it Silt 3D? Is that how I'm supposed to pronounce that? They're asking if I've still got the office. Yeah, I've still got the office. I'm obviously at home. It's a Sunday evening. It's not very inviting going to the other side of town in the wind and the rain to sit in an empty office building. So I'm streaming from home. I used to stream from here, like, exclusively, but when I do the morning streams, I mostly do them from the office, although I might stream from here tomorrow morning. I'll have to find an interesting cup of tea, though. It's being worked on. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm very interested in the YouTube stuff because I've not done it recently, but of course I'd like to start doing the odd stream on YouTube as well, to sort of remind myself how to do YouTube streaming, and also see to the extent to which stuff that I have set up here does and does not work, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to miss that's going to be sad and disappointing. But yeah, but this OBS 28 transition it's been great because of all the new stuff and really useful features, but it caused some disruption with work streams as well. Another reason why this overcomes that. So, VTuber avatar when? Nobody wants to see that. not from me, at least. Surely. No, I'm not going to be getting into that. There's more interesting things I want to do that don't involve layering on additional technical complexity. Let's think. What do I want to do with streaming next? I definitely want to do more of the integrations, and I want to do more with chatbot stuff. And you know, so for those that got it here at the beginning, it's the subtle things that I like. The stuff that it's like, you know, the window dodging on these elements. It's like the track changes that have happened there, and it fades in. This is the track that's playing, and it'll automatically fade it out. It's those little things that I enjoy tinkering with. And what I'm trying to do is factor out like stream elements, for example. They're fantastic. They have a great service, but I would rather create my own. Like these lower third is now completely re-implemented just using OBS, not using stream elements, and all of the chat stuff that I've got now is all custom, not stream elements. So worse than Streamlabs. Oh really? Stream elements, is it? Okay, I'm not I'd be interested, but yeah. So hey Icy Dre, welcome to the stream. Thank you for stopping by. Stream elements, fantastic, but unfortunately also evil. I didn't know that, but I'm not trying to leave stream elements because of anything I've experienced with them. I just don't want, like, I had all of these different browser sources on all of these, so I've managed to get rid of all of the chat stuff from stream elements and being able to factor out trigger fire. I just want to try and pull it back as much as possible to my local setup. And like I say, I use SyncThing to sync everything from here to the other office, and I want those two to be absolutely in step with one another. The other thing that this build of OBS provides, by virtue of Pipewire, is that now I don't have to change the audio sources in each configuration, but because the defaults work correctly in both places, it correctly identifies the default audio devices, so I don't need to keep flipping audio sources as I move between locations. So, you know, that's sort of a self-inflicted problem of streaming with multiple computers from multiple locations with different equipment. But, you know, I've automated out a lot of that, and this helps get over like the big chunk of what was left with it. Streamlabs is ripping off everyone, are they? I've never got involved with. I mean, I really only use Stream Elements because they had the. It was the place if you wanted, like the overlays that I have when people do, you know, follows and what have you. That's all a Stream Elements overlay, and I think I said earlier in this stream, it's only down to a lack of artistic talent that I haven't replaced those with my own local alerts, because Atom provides everything I need, but I simply can't create anything that's as nice looking. So I do want to get rid. I want to just have my own stuff. And what will be interesting is how much of this is going to work on YouTube, and this is what Dust was talking about, that they're now focusing on the YouTube integration. So I'm up for I'd definitely be up for doing a stream or two a week on YouTube. If you want to drip out stuff to the beta channel for Atom users, Dust, that's got some YouTube bits and pieces in, I'd definitely be up for testing some of that. No problem. What's this, FX Boy? I do not understand how established streamers can rely on browser source elements for their brand. They cannot self-host. Yeah, the company they rely on for their overlays could disappear. Yeah, and that's why, you know, earlier on I was explaining, you know, the chatbot stuff that I've got here now is basically a local browser source. It's on my file system. It's powered by an open source project, and it's why I can do things like this, or oops, it helps if I'm in the right virtual screen. I really need I'm gonna have to write something that tells me whether I'm in the right place. Let's do this. Let's do that. Is that, have you got a channel called that? Yeah, there we go. There you go. Is that you, Dust, on Twitch? I hope so. So let's try the actual shout out and Dust. Oh, there we go. That worked. Okay, so it works if I actually type it out, but it doesn't work if I pump it out through my chatbot. So a shout out was given to Dust. So I don't see anything special. Twitch told me that this would give like join buttons and things in the chat for your channel, but I don't see any of that. No, it didn't work with my chatbot, but that's, you know, it's the first outing of my chatbot, and soon it won't present as me. I'm going to have it'll have its own identity. If anyone remembers the very early days of Ubuntu Mate, you'll know what it's going to be called. They're deprecating some of the slash commands via IRC for bots. Oh, so bots can't. Interesting, because technically it's not a bot. Technically it's me. My bot is authed as me, as you can see. If I do this, that was me issuing the command to say, you know, where stuff is, or we were talking about YouTube. If I do bang YouTube, it will play a little animation of remind you how to do all those internet things on YouTube and where my YouTube channel is. Blah, blah, blah. So, but as you can see, it's going out as me. Oh, okay. So they know that it's not coming from me. Okay, fair enough. That's a bit crap, isn't it? That's a shame. Oh well. At least I know. Thank you. I've been educated. Thank you for that, Dust. So, okay. So anything else where I was thinking of? So fortunately, before I'd read about this new shout out command. I'd implemented my own, as you will have seen. It's not as good as theirs though. So I'll have to have a think about how I can fancy mine up. Yeah, and it's got this timed chat now. That's one of the timed chat messages that's through my chatbot thing. I'll share some info with you, Dust. I'm sure you know all of this stuff, but it was an interesting find. Oh, hello. Who's doing that? Hello, Takov. How you doing? Yeah, you've already made yours. Yeah, I didn't doubt it. I didn't doubt it. This is a placeholder because I know what's coming. But I wanted to get rid of some. I had so many like things that like a single command that was actually like in multiple places, and I was like, oh, you know, triggered and actioned in different places, and it was hurting my little brain. So I had to make something that simplified it. But yeah, I'll be consolidating a lot of the chat stuff down with Atom. And when State Tracker 2 is available, that's the big hotness I'm waiting on. Hey Takov, how are you doing? Haven't chatted in ages. Welcome back. So, I think so. How long have I been streaming for? Oh, a couple of hours. Okay. Not bad. So, I think I've shared some of my little finds on what I've been up to with this. There we go. Check the lighting out. It looks so good, doesn't it? It's dead authentic, that, I think. That fireball thing with the lights going. That was last December, wasn't it? I made that for the Christmas stuff. Right. I think it's time to see who is up to things. No one. Oh, well, that's rubbish, isn't it? Why is Twitch hiding the category that I always stream to from me? I mean, why is it just not in the list? That should surely be the first thing in my list. I give up. Well, thank you very much for stopping by, Yannick. I was going to go and raid someone, but there's nobody streaming who I know. And I can't be bothered to deal with digging around the Twitch discovery thingy, so I think I'm just going to be lazy. Oh, Takov says he's had to abandon one of the projects. Take down your desktop. Oh yeah, power's a thing, right? Yeah. Wow. Yes, that's definitely a consideration. I think it was when I did the last stream in the office, I was talking about potentially selling off some of the components that I've got to get a more power efficient system. I'm still considering doing that. And in fact, I've got some older systems that are probably more than capable enough that are considerably more power efficient than this. So it's at the back of my mind as well, because we've had our electricity pricing adjustments. It's a lot of money. The new billing tariffs. It's a lot of money. Old-timey computer show. All right, okay, let's do that then. Let's do that. Are they? Is that? In fact, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm gonna go with your suggestion, FX Boy. Thank you for suggesting that. Why not? Right then, that's what we're gonna do. So I may be streaming tomorrow morning. If I'm not streaming tomorrow morning, I will be streaming sometime soon. I will definitely be streaming multiple times this week, and I'll be recording Linux Downtime on Tuesday, so go to linuxdowntime.com and point your podcatchers at that, because that's the best Linux podcast in the world. Right then, thank you all very much for coming. I'm going to hit the big fat stop button and we're going to go raiding. I hope to see you all soon. Thank you all for coming. Bye bye.